everyone, spydiechick here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I know several months before I had posted a video indicating I would note some other videos indicating some other hobbies that I have, and here's one of them. I'm going to be doing a review on a Lego set, actually. A little bit of a different turn from my usual knives and flashlights and such, but I think this would be something that would be quite fun. So I'm going to pull this out here, and what do we have here? This is actually a BB8 Lego set. So using the magic of film, I'm going to get rid of this background, which is this box here, in just one moment. Alright, so here we have the BB8 Lego set model. It comes in at 1,106 pieces. It took me overall about 4 to 5 hours to create. I find I'm not really that quick in terms of making these sets, but I find it's really enjoyable and it's really challenging. So I thought this was really neat. What I was thinking about doing in terms of how I can be separating this, I can first talk about the overall build process, how I found it, then I can talk about some of the unique features, the play values, what I would call that, for the Lego set, and then I'll talk about my overall thoughts and the impressions in terms of price, the price to part ratio, and also my overall enjoyment of the set and whether or not I would recommend it. So first off, just starting off here, this is the BB8 model, and I want to say here is I thought it was a good level of challenge, and this is quite a unique piece, and you probably just saw something that I just did there that I'm going to show and talk about it a little bit more. So in terms of the build process, I did think it was quite challenging. There's some features in here that was quite interesting that I'll show, and I'm going to show some time-lapse footage right now indicating the interior process, the interior mechanism and how that's made. As you can see here, it actually took quite a bit of time, and some of these pieces here, it's quite amazing how the designers were able to put these items together and be able to design this in such a way that you're able to have some moving parts. And if you take a look here, it's quite nice because it's the actual BB8 itself. It's quite circular. It's quite circular for sure. It's a nice little ball that we have here. And I know one of the things I was originally thinking was that if we have, oh, I'm going to close this little window here. One of these things I would be originally thinking about is if there's going to be so many panels here, and actually, as you can see, there'd be 6 because it's a sphere, then I would be worried that it would be quite repetitive. I found that was interesting. I found that as I was making the BB8, I actually didn't find that to be the case, and I can show some footage of me putting on one of the panels together. One of the reasons why I found it was not very repetitive actually was because you can take a look at some of these different spheres here, is that these items, for each one of these panels, there's actually a different design. So that was quite a nice feature that we have here, and because there's different designs for each one of these panels, I found that each stage, when I was making a separate panel, I found it was quite enjoyable because every single one was just that little bit different. So another thing I wanted to mention here, that was in terms of the build process. I thought it was challenging, I thought it was enjoyable, not too repetitive, and it was quite enjoyable throughout the whole process. I wanted to show here, and another amazing feature that we have in the BB8 is if you look on the side panel of the BB8, you're going to see there's an item that you can actually rotate, and when you rotate it, what happens is it causes 2 different features to happen. On the one side, you have, I'm going to show this here, on one side you can actually rotate it, and it actually opens a window within the actual BB8 figurine, and it actually opens a trap door, if you will, and you can open it and you can close it, and there's this little item that comes out just like the movie actually indicates, and I thought that was quite clever. I was quite surprised and quite happy to see that the little trap door actually opens on its own. You do need to close it on your own, however. On the other side, what we have here is there's another spinning item here that if you spin it, it actually causes the head to rotate as well. And one interesting thing I was quite curious for that I wasn't too aware of when I was purchasing the item is whether or not it can actually spin 360 degrees. And yes, it can. So it can spin 360 degrees, and an amazing and fun little aspect here is that if you do small movements like this, the head actually does bobble back and forth, which is great because that's quite similar to the actual movie, and I found that that's quite enjoyable. So as you can imagine, as some of the footage I showed a little bit earlier indicating the complex makeup of the interior, this is essentially what it was creating. In terms of the overall price to part ratio, I think it's definitely a good deal, a good buy. You're talking about over 1,100 pieces. Lego is charging just about 100 US or 130, roughly 130 Canadian dollars to purchase the Lego set. I was able to get it for roughly about 80 US or 100 Canadian dollars, and it's not too hard to find that on sale as of 2017 in December. In terms of how this actually gets displayed, you have a few different options. You can just sit this down on a table if you would like, or Lego actually does provide a stage for you to actually mount or actually have the BB8 figurine actually sit on, and it looks a little bit like this. And once you make it, it's quite nice because you're able to sit it onto the little stand. It comes with a little plaque that indicates some of the specifications of what BB8, the figurine actually would, or the character actually, what his real dimensions would be, which is quite a nice feature. I find it's quite nice that they would have a little small, traditional Lego size figurine character right beside it for a comparison. I find that's quite a hilarious comparison. In any case, these are the different facets that I've been able to consider. Overall, the build process, I thought it was quite enjoyable and challenging. Play value, I think it's excellent. There's a couple really fun little features that Lego was able to put in here that was quite similar to the movie as well. And then the price to part ratio, I think, is also a nice touch as well. So I hope you enjoyed the review. If you liked the review, feel free to subscribe and leave any comments if you have any questions. And stay tuned for other videos, gear reviews, knife reviews, flashlight reviews, and just other things that will be quite fun and interesting on my channel coming up. Take care, everyone.